Hi there, I'm Al Riley and I work as a volunteer with the Liverpool Action Group known as LAG Incorporation, and we've done some work down here at West Point at Chippy Norton Lakes. The area that we've done was full of lantana, balloon vines and things like that. We've already created pretty much a good bush walkway through here at the moment. But we're wanting to do more work, but we're waiting on council permission to get this work to proceed with more work. But anyway, I'll give you a walk through and do some plant identification. Okay, just recently we had a tree fall down and broke our sign, but I've taken a happy snap of it anyway. And basically, this is the bush area we have cleared. This was chock-a-block full of lantana. Now the tracks here, you've got to be careful. You've got a river embankment right beside it, so you've got to be careful with occupational health and safety to make sure you wear good proper shoes and be sure you're with someone in case you fall in, because drowning could take effect. There is quite strong currents in this area. So yeah, but this is the bushland. All through there was all full of lantana, which we've all chopped down and everything. And this is the track we've created for the public, general public. So just identifying some of the hazards that we had. We actually, as you see, there's a lot of tree branches and that falling down over there. So what we actually done was we actually put some of these tree branches on pathways so that we can protect the areas that are starting to revegetate, which is naturally came up, natural revegetation. And we split it into two walks, I should say. One going down along the lake and the other path going down along the river. But as you can see, we've sort of used a lot of the dead trees and things like that to sort of basically have a walking track so people leave areas alone and we can get the revegetation regrowing. We've had recent floods through here. The water gushed through here and spat out over the further, and from that we've actually created some new beaches on the other side into the leak side. Yeah, this is the water edge. Used to actually come right up to the very grass here, but now there's more of a beach area. As you can see, the trees that have been fallen down that have been covered in sand. So I'm taking you along the riverside walk. As you can see, these young trees coming up, which, as I say, I'll identify later. All starting to re-sprout up. There's a beautiful tree there. And we continue on. You can see there's Phragmites here that has died off. Bracken fern that's died off, but there's still more bracken fern coming up. And these young trees that have come up, which are the Camden white gum species. There's actually a little pilly over there that's come up, another Camden white, and these ones here all sprung up after the floods. Here you can see after the floods a lot of sand was washed up and went through this area, caused a lot of more sand banking to go on. But again, we've got some natural species coming up there. There's a wattle there. I'll go through these species a little bit later. And these are all just grown of recently, which is fantastic. It's just self-seeded. And here's the divider of our path. That way's the lakeside walk and that way's the riverside walk. Again, another little area where we've sort of put up a little bit of a temporary sort of fence to sort of stop people from getting into the rougher areas so that it gets a chance to regrow. And as you can see, there's another lily pilly, a couple of lily pillies there, a few more gum trees growing, which is absolutely fantastic for the work we've done. And it's now being used, and I've been told by some of the people that actually do use it, but when COVID was on, they came down here and used this area for a walk, to walk their dogs or whatever. And they're quite happy and pleased with the works that we've done. And we even get fishermen come down here to have a fish every now and then too, which is brilliant. This was all full of kikuyu grass, which we nutted down and poisoned, and basically brought it back to a bit more acceptable land. Okay, this is at the west point, the very tip of this actual little peninsula. And you can see out here, this is all Chippy Norton Lakes. The river used to run from there down along that bank there. And this was all sand mine. It was all opened up. All this areas, after the sand mines had finished, they'd opened it up and turned it into lakes. It's all tidal lake now. And the water quality is reasonable, I wouldn't say the best, but you can sort of see the bottoms here and there. And as I say, we've got some fishermen here, which he just told me he hasn't caught anything yet, but stays here long enough, he will. As you can see through here too, you've got to be very careful on this walk, because if you get too close to the bank, it has subsided in, especially this big clump of grass here, that's all fallen into the river. So we just got to be careful when we actually walk through here, that you sort of stick pretty much away from the bank. And all this area here, you can see this was all lantana growing through here. We just chopped it down with brush cutters to allow the native life to come back. And we've done a pretty good job, I think, in getting it back. And you can see these young species, wattles here, starting to grow, which is brilliant. This is our riverbank. Walk along the riverbank here. Again, as you can see, we've killed off a lot of the kikuyu grass and around here, but we had to be careful because you could quite easily slip in, and just past those reeds, the water drops away quite deeply. So again, we have to be careful when we are working around here, always making sure that there's somebody within yelling distance in case we're in trouble. But all of this bracken's reshot back up since we've done it. We've actually used a bit of couch grass because this area floods pretty bad, and by using the couch grass, it stabilizes the sandy bank so that when floods do come through, it's not washed away. And we just basically come through and maintain it now with some whippersnippers every now and then to make sure that the people can still access this track. Okay, this is back a little bit from where we actually worked, but this is how thick and dense the lantana was before we started. And as you can see, there's balloon vine as well going up into the trees here, and that was exactly how it was, a lot of it. Okay, here we've got some alligator weed growing on the banks here, which is Alateneria phylloxeroides. Okay, here we have bracken fern, which is Calendia dubia out of the Dixoniaceae family, which is all from the Les Robinson book. And growing beside it is Tetragonia lineus, which is your warrigal cabbage or spinach, also known as New Zealand spinach. Okay, a Casuarina glaucus here, or commonly known as she oak, and here it is in our Robbo's book. And what I've got to look for is these particular identifications.
How to fill a brush cutter. First of all, this little cap here, if you undo that, it opens up to a breathing tube. So when you're out in the bush and it's a slightly hot day, you should leave this open so the actual container can breathe. Now, what you do, you unscrew this, right, and it comes to a little nozzle. You then screw it back on. Right, and this stops all spillage. It's the safest way that you can ever fill a brush cutter or any other machine that has the same size opening. And all you do, you lift it up, right, nothing happens. You put it onto and over that, you push down and you can hear it, and then it's filled, not one piece of spillage. And then you put your cover, as you can see, it's filled to the top. Very safe way of filling a brush cutter. This is Husqvarna, and it's a brilliant product. And it's a shame that they're a little bit expensive, about $70, but for safety, they're really worth the effort. So you turn it back, and there you go, complete safe. It's also got a oil container on the other end, so it's for chainsaw. That what I just put in there is 2-stroke fuel.
Yeah, that'll do. Okay, just some safety gear that we use when we're using the brush cutter. We've got anti-vibrational gloves, face masks. Sometimes materials flies back and hits you in the face. We've got earmuffs as well. I've just got one also, I can hear my friend here. We've got the harness which holds on the brush cutter, and we use a handlebar hand style brush cutter which clips onto us here, and then we use it in a downward motion on the lantana that we cut down. Now these are destructible blades that are on this, and they're actually very, very good for chopping back the lantana and everything like that. And as I say, we go in a downward motion as we're cutting through the bush until we get down low, and then we do a bit of a sweeping action across. And then whatever lantana grows up from that, any shoots that grow, we poison. But we make sure we're 100% safe. We make sure that we've got our yellows on, good strong boots. We sometimes also wear snake garters when the snake season's on, just to protect ourselves from snake bites. That'll do.